Hello, boys and girls. This is the Monday News Rundown. I am Thepromise. It is September 17th, 2012. It's been about a month since my last rundown. Nothing against you guys, not your fault. Just was in a bit of a slump creatively. Wasn't feeling very creative, very extroverted, very motivated. So kind of just took a break from stuff to get myself ramped back up and into the swing of things. And I apologize for that. You know, you guys don't deserve to be robbed of my glorious countenance because I'm a little whacked in the head. I did one podcast with Dominion in that meantime, and there's footage from MLG Raleigh that the whole crew went to that I haven't been able to get out for you guys because my MacBook has been broken, but I just got it fixed. And now it's turned on and quite bright. But I just got it fixed today. And I can actually boot up Final Cut Pro without it taking a dump on me. So after I record my segments today, I'm going to devote most of my time to getting those spliced together and uploaded for you guys so you can get a look into what our weekend at MLG Raleigh was like. Nothing's really changed about the fundown. Nothing's really changed. The format's the same. So I'm going to start off like I did for the past couple with the new releases. This is a big fucking week. I am stoked. So fucking stoked. You want to know why? Because Borderlands 2 is coming out. And Borderlands 1 is one of my all-time favorite loot-based games. It was a phenomenal hybrid of first-person shooters and the Diablo loot whore formula. So good, so very good. And Borderlands 2 comes out at midnight tonight. If you've got it preloaded on Steam, by all accounts, it will unlock itself at the stroke of midnight. I don't think it's going to be perfectly honest with you, because of zoning. It's a digital distribution system, so it doesn't apply to the same street. Whoa. What's that word that I haven't used since I worked at GameStop? Street date. Holy shit. I guess that's a good thing I've been gone so long I forgot things like that. But because it's digital distribution, the zoning works differently. So there is a chance that if you are on the East Coast, it will unlock itself at 3 a.m. once Pacific hits midnight. I'm hoping it's midnight my time because I'm selfish and I want to play it, and fuck them over there. I want to play it now. So that's dropping. Xbox, PS3, PC. Torchlight 2. Fuck yes. I mean, I'm going to be swimming in loot by the time Saturday rolls around. It's going to be ridiculous. Torchlight 2 comes out the 20th. That's Thursday? Thursday. So it's Thursday. That drops. I've already got that preloaded on Steam. I'm pretty fucking stoked about that. As of right now, that is only for the Windows. The Windows. Only for Windows. The Windows, it doesn't really matter. It's only for Windows. It's not Mac Play yet. Or Steam Play, I should say. So you can't use it on the Mac. It's strictly Windows. I don't think it's going to be dropping for the Xbox 360. Actually, I'm willing to put money that it won't. On launch day. So PC, the 20th, Thursday. Torchlight 2, tons of loot. Co-op. That's what everyone fucking wanted from the first one. Nothing against Runic Games. They couldn't do it, but it's in this version. You should play it. It's that good. It will be that good. I haven't even played it. I know it's that good because I'm just that confident in Max Schaefer and how awesome he is. And it's not even Max Schaefer. Wow. I'm an asshole. I forget who is the head of Runic Games. Tim Schaefer? Tim Schaefer. Perhaps. I don't know. Whatever. He makes good games. Tomorrow is also the re-release of one of the best Sega Dreamcast games I ever played, and that is Jet Set Radio. For any of you who have never played it or are just far too young, in which case, get back to your roots, man. You missed some good shit. Jet Set Radio is set in the near future, where everything is run by the state, and bunch of taggers go out and they decide to do graffiti on shit as a form of protest and expression. Wacky hijinks ensue. One of the first games to really successfully use cel-shaded graphics in a 3D environment. It was a gorgeous game at the time. I'm sure it's going to look good when it's released. It should. I think it's an HD release, so it's going to look really, really awesome. That's dropping for Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. It's going to be a download title for all three of those platforms, so you can get that digitally. Highly, 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 highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I think it's going to be $14.99. If that's the case, it is well worth the price. If it's anything less, you are a fool not to pick it up because it is one of the all-time great
A
games.
vast virus database has been
What
updated.
else is coming out? The perennial is not a word I get to use often enough, I feel. The perennial F1 racing game, F1 2012, is dropping tomorrow as well. So if you like racing Indy cars very fast, I highly recommend picking that up because it's probably one of your only avenues of uh, joy, really, in gaming. That's it. So you should probably check that out. And last but not least, it is the Street Fighter 25th Anniversary Collection. Um, I can't tell you what's in it because then I won't have time to talk about news. It has everything. It literally has everything. If you've ever played something that's Street Fighter related, it's in that giant chest. So if you like Street Fighter and you don't mind dropping, I'm going to assume upwards of $150, check it out because it's got everything. Speaking of releases, moving on to not new releases, but what could have been a new release, Baldur's Gate Extended Edition has been delayed. It was supposed to drop the 25th, and pretty much it's not going to. It's been pushed back till November, pretty much for quality control assurances. They said it's probably ready to be released on the 25th, but if they can squeeze out an extra couple months of development time just to round it out and polish it, that's what they're going to do, and that's what they will do. So it will be released in November of 2012. They do not have a date yet. But I mean, if I had to put money on it, I'd say the third week. Yeah, I'd say the third week of November that'll be coming out. And it's the original Baldur's Gate, the RPG classic. Really the seminal, one of the seminal role-playing games for the PC. It started an entire genre of action-based. Well, yeah, really, it was the genre of action-based RPGs, and it really catapulted that style out. And I'm blanking on who made it. Was it BioWare? It was somebody. They did good though on the second one too. It might have been BioWare. I think it was published by Interplay. That's how fucking long ago that was. So that's going to be coming out in November. Like I said, if I had to put money on it, I'd say the third week. If I had to get really specific, the 18th, because why not? Moving along, Steam has a new feature, and it is called Big Picture, and it is cool. What it does is if you have your computer or laptop hooked up to a television via, well, I mean, really anything, but at this point, it's probably going to be HDMI. You can, at the push of a button, move your Steam to that television. Now, I mean, playing video games, PC games, on a television is nothing new. For most people, if they want a gaming experience that is greater than the standard, 25 to 30-inch computer monitor, typically what they will do is they will hook it up to an LCD television. That's something new. But it eclipses just visual formatting. It actually reconfigures Steam in and of itself to be used on a television with a controller. I know for a fact that it works stock with the Xbox 360 controller. It probably isn't quite that easy with the PlayStation 3 controller just because of how it's set up. I know for myself that when I was trying to configure a PlayStation 3 controller to work on my PC, it's a real fucking pain in the ass. And that stems from the fact that there are no hardwired, well, there are no first-party hardwired PS3 controllers. You could wire it up with the USB dongle and supersede the Bluetooth, but you had to map the entire thing, including the analog sticks. It was pretty terrible. But I mean, it's got Xbox 360 controller support, any PC gamepad support. And it's really all it is there's a button in the upper right-hand corner of Steam. It's a blue circle. It says Big Picture. You press it, and it transmits Steam to your television and then converts all of the commands to your controller. It simplifies the actual UI of Steam into something that's much more manageable for a controller to handle. It really resembles a cross between the first and second generation of the Xbox 360 dashboard, where it was the slices and then it went into the actual pictures that you could go through. Well, actually, no, I should just say that it's just like the second generation one with the pictures where you can go back and forth, and each one is a different option. So there's, your library, the store, community, and then it gets broken down like that. Really cool stuff. The keyboard, in my opinion, is one of the best that I've seen on anything using a controller. It's not a new idea. It's been around for a while. I know Reddit blew up with some self-righteous nonsense about how some Redditor came up with the idea, but in reality it's been around far longer than that. And really what it is, it's a radial, and there are positions on the radial that you can move to with one of the thumbsticks. When you get to that position on the radial, a letter is designated to each of the face buttons on the controller. So you go to the first radial, and it goes clockwise. So you'll have A, B, C, D, corresponding to Y, B, A, and X, and then you can hit whatever letter you need. Move to the next batch. Move to the next batch. It looks. I haven't personally used it, but it looks like it makes typing with a controller so much fucking easier than navigating a QWERTY-style keyboard, or if you're the fucking idiots who designed Netflix for the Xbox 360, just a line of letters that you have to go back and forth through and want to kill yourself. So I have to applaud them for that, for taking an existing technology and incorporating it to make the service that much better for the consumer. And I mean, really, I like Valve. I like Steam. It's a good thing. I'm not really part of the whole, Valve circle jerk that exists on most of the internet, where it's just jizz in your mouth 24/7. That's not how I am with that. I appreciate what they do, and I think that they are a quality company. And I mean, this just proves, to me, that tradition continues by just incorporating stuff like that, where you take what's already a good piece of technology and make it even better and more accessible for your consumers. And I'm sure that anyone who has used it and will use it will appreciate that keyboard when they have to navigate the store or their library. So kudos to you, Valve. You do good things. So really the first of my my two main topics today. Right? I have two main topics. Yeah, I have two main topics. Okay. Sorry about that. My computer decided to reformat my notes. First point is two developers for Bohemia Interactive. If you do not know who that is, they're the people who make the Arma series. If you don't know what Arma is, it is the game that DayZ is a mod for. DayZ, of course, is the insanely popular, super realistic survival horror game. Emphasis on the survival, which is actually making its way, from what I'm hearing, not only a standalone PC version, but also a standalone console version as well, which is interesting. I really wasn't that surprised when I heard that they were going to make a standalone version of DayZ for the PC, because it's a natural progression. And I'm really happy to hear that Bohemia Interactive picked it up, since it's one of their own guys that made the mod, which is really awesome. But it's coming to the consoles too. And in their statement, they pretty much said they'd be crazy not to bring it to the consoles, and I agree. It's a game that has not great. It is a game of the like that has never graced the consoles before. By a long shot. I mean, their consoles version of survival horror is Resident Evil, which back in 1995 was probably really groundbreaking and amazing, but these days it's not. And I think it'll I'm not 100% sure that it will be completely successful once it hits the consoles, but I think it could be the impetus for that genre to make a rather momentous debut at some point in the future on the consoles, much like Morrowind did for the consoles. We never really had a completely open-ended sandbox open world RPG on the consoles before Elder Scrolls 3 released for the Xbox. And I remember that's one of the things really that makes it one of my favorite games of all time, was that, you know, when I played it on the Xbox, I had never, ever played any game like this before, ever on a console. And I mean, I wasn't a PC gamer, you know, back in the beginning of the aughts. I was strictly consoles because I was poor. I didn't have enough money, you know, to have a PC and maintain it and play all these cool games. So I mean, I was stuck with the consoles, and Morrowind was, you know, really for me was a gateway into a larger world that existed primarily on the PC. And I think once DayZ releases for the consoles, it'll have that same effect, because console gamers are, these days, they're used to being coddled, and they're used to being led, you know, and have their hands held through games. Where with DayZ, it drops you into a fucking island. You either survive or you don't. Like, that's it. There's no gray area. That's just what happens, and you will die. It's just a matter of when. And it's brutal. You know, it's brutal. People trying to kill you. Zombies trying to kill you. Dehydration, starvation, broken bones, blood loss. Like, you know, this is all stuff you got to account for in this stupid game. So, hopefully it does make it to the consoles, and I hope, you know, it does lead the way for real survival games in the future on the consoles. I think that is a genre that console gamers could take a liking to, because it is that much different than what they're used to. But that was a tangent, a large one. Let's get back on track. So, Arma 3, coming out next year, I think. Yeah, I think it's 2003. Looking really good. Open world, sandbox, military game, super realistic, hundreds of weapons and vehicles, and it is about as close as you can get to being in a war zone on your computer. So, two of their developers, Ivan Bukta, who is the creative developer, and Martin Peslar, who is the map designer, they were arrested in Greece on charges of espionage. I know, it sounds kind of ridiculous. It sounds like a movie, actually. The pair were supposedly vacationing on the island of Lemnos, which is an island in Greece that is known predominantly for its military base. It's one of the major military bases in, you know, Greece and its network of islands. And Lemnos itself is a setting in Arma 3. I'm not sure if it's the primary setting or one of them. It's either or, but it's in the game, nearly in its entirety. And they were supposedly, like I said, supposedly vacationing there when they were taken into custody. And pretty much the Greek authorities have accused them of taking pictures and video of the military installation on the island, which they both vehemently deny, and so does Bohemia Interactive. And you know, in statements released by Bohemia Interactive, they just pretty much reiterate that they are on vacation. This is a misunderstanding. They were just being tourists. Even go as far to say that anyone else who's ever vacationed on the island of Lemnos probably has pictures of said military installation in one of their photo albums, and, you know, could have unwittingly been arrested for espionage as well. They also state that their version of Lemnos is actually a rescaled version of Lemnos. It's only about 75% of the total surface area of the actual island, and it's been heavily modified, so there needn't be any worry about, you know, exposure of any terrain or military formations on a large scale. That's not the point. You know, you can modify and change what you want. They're not arrested because the island's in the game. They're arrested because they're purportedly taking pictures of shit they shouldn't have been taking pictures of. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And if they weren't, then it might just be the result of some overzealous MPs or local officials who, you know, might take the security of the base and their island very seriously. Which, I mean, honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, especially in a country like Greece, who's right now going through some really, really tough times, both financially, um, and culturally. It's pretty much a boiling point, really, for the country at the moment. It's really not the worst thing in the world to be overzealous about national security and your military bases and your military secrets. So, I mean, I get that, but they weren't spying. Let's face it. Even if they were expressly taking pictures of the base, they weren't doing it to, sell the information to another country or, undermine the military actions of the Greek government. Like, that's not the purpose. The purpose was, fact finding and information like that. And I'm not saying that makes it right. It doesn't. I'm pretty sure that Bohemia Interactive is based in the Czech Republic, which means that you have an intimate knowledge with war and the military, and I would hope in matters concerning both of those subjects some common sense. And taking pictures, of a military installation and its specifics clearly goes against common sense. And if that is in fact what they were doing, they are stupid. They don't deserve 20 years in prison, which is the sentence that they're facing at the moment in Greek jail. You know, but they deserve something for being dumb. Like that's really what it boils down to. It's the old roll up newspaper in the nose. You do something stupid, you need to have consequences so you don't do something that fucking stupid again. And it is in total. It's unclear right now as to what happened and what didn't happen. Because it is a national case. The truth is, we probably will never really know the specifics or the hard truths behind what happened, and that is what it is. I just hope that whether they were or they weren't doing something really stupid, like I said, I don't think they deserve 20 years in prison. Now, if there is evidence they actually were committing acts of espionage, if there are trails, that pretty much show that they are leaking this information and or selling it, in that case, then yeah, you get 20 years in prison because you fucked up. Simple as that. I just don't think that that's the case. I think that they were just being too really passionate game developers who were trying to just eke out that last level of realism for their game, and that's commendable. But again, their approach was stupid, and they do deserve to be punished, but not by 20 years in prison. So this is an ongoing thing. I know both Bukta and Pezler just released a statement, I believe, either yesterday or today, and they said they're being treated well. Where they're being held, they're cordial, maybe not friendly, but they're not being mistreated. And they're being fed, and all their needs are being taken care of, and they're hopeful that this misunderstanding will get cleared up and they will be reunited with their families soon. And for their family's sake, I hope that that's the case, that this is really just a misunderstanding and they can get it ironed out. And they can go home and they can put up, their fantastic game that, from what I've seen, looks amazing. So yeah, hopefully ironed out, but whatever. I'm sure details will surface. We will keep, well, not we, there's no we, it's just me. I will keep you posted with things from my mouth. And now moving on to really the meat of what I wanted to talk to you fine folks about today, and that it's something that really shows the solidarity and the backbone of the collective community that we call gaming. And on September 11th, 2012, there were attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Libya, specifically in the city of Benghazi, by what is described as a Libyan militia. They attacked the embassy and set it on fire. And unfortunately, 4 people died. As far as I know, not from small arms fire, but from the fire itself and smoke inhalation. Yeah, I think that's the case. And those 3 people were the U.S. ambassador to Libya, Sean Smith, who is a U.S. diplomat, and 2 other State Department officials. And actually, the ambassador might have been shot. I didn't put that on my notes, and I'm not sure. But specifically, Sean Smith died due to smoke inhalation. They couldn't get him out in time after the embassy was attacked. Sean was a player in a game called EVE Online that I'm sure most of you have heard of, maybe not played. It's not the most played massively multiplayer game. I apologize for that. On the PC. But it is one of the more famous ones. In the past, they've had some pretty diesel scandals with not really scandals. It's a game, but with massive pilfering of in-game funds and corporation takeovers and just money loss on a massive scale, which is all legal within the game. I mean, that's what the game is. It's really you're in space, but it's about business and it's about money and it's about power. Though that's what the game's about. So when they lose massive amounts of ISK, which is the in-game currency, it's not like they're doing anything wrong. That's how you play the game, and sometimes people get a big one up on somebody else. So anyway, Sean Smith played EVE Online on the handle VileRat. And he was, in EVE Online, an extremely powerful player. He was renowned throughout pretty much the entire game. He was one of the most famous diplomats in EVE Online, if not the most famous diplomat in EVE Online, and one of the most popular, even going as far as to sit on the game's Council of Stellar Management, which is actually a player-elected council of players who pretty much is their form of government within EVE Online. The players elect these people into the council, and they meet directly with the developer CCP to discuss issues within the game. Okay, that's something that happens in EVE Online. The players elect somebody to speak for them. Like, that's how serious this shit is. This isn't World of Warcraft, where it's like, LOL, noob, QQ, I beat you because I'm a frost mage. Like, that's not what this is. This isn't cutesy pet collection. This is not, you know, world v world v world. This is something more. This is something more mature. This is something more fundamental. This is what this game is about. They elect people to speak for them, and I think that in and of itself speaks for the player base in EVE Online and the general tone and seriousness of how the players take the game. So, Sean Smith, aka VileRat, he pretty much had the ability to swing entire wars with his diplomatic skills, most of which he learned during his time with the State Department, and a lot of it was just up here. That's what he did. He was good. And the Mittani, who is probably the most well-known player in in EVE Online ever. You ask any EVE Online player who the Mittani is, they know exactly who he is. He was actually, well, in EVE they're called companies, but let's just say guild. He was a guildmate of Vile Rats. And they were actually very good friends in real life, as were most of his close friends in EVE Online. They had a very close, tight-knit bond between him and his guildmates. And he wrote a fairly lengthy blog statement after Sean's passing. And he made a really insightful comment. Really just to demonstrate how far-reaching Sean's influence was. He said, if you play this stupid game, you may not realize it, but you do play in a galaxy created in large part by Vile Rat's talent as a diplomat. No one focused as relentlessly on using diplomacy as a strategic tool as Vile Rat. And I mean, pretty much, there are plenty of other people who have spoken out since his passing, and the theme is the same, is that if you played EVE Online at any point, you were, at some time, a part of his game. You were a pawn, or you were, a sacrifice, or you were a tool or a commodity or a resource. You were involved with him in some way, no matter who you were, if you played this game. Which is really cool, because it's not a small game. It's got about 500,000 subscribers, which isn't the size of World of Warcraft, maybe, or even Guild Wars, but I mean, it's a consistent 500,000 subscribers for quite a few years. There's a dedication in that community that you're not going to find anywhere else, and they took his passing really hard. In the game, if you have enough money, you can actually build and own your own space station. And one of the perks of having a space station is that you get to name it whatever you want. And they're not easy to afford, or build, or maintain, or keep. So the name of your space station is usually a very important thing, because it's something that you've cultivated and you've earned and you have made. And as of the time of this news rundown, over 300 space stations had renamed themselves into some sort of epitaph for Vile Rat. That's over 300. Like, that's not only his friends; those are also his enemies and his rivals that are paying tribute to him. By renaming their space stations in his name, in messages to him. And I know EVE Online itself had a candlelight vigil a couple days after he died. And I think about 2,000 people attended that. And a great deal of them launched. See, I don't play EVE Online. They were either escape pods or like funerary barges from their starships. And the screenshot that I saw, it listed them in proximity, and they were all just rest in peace, Vile Rat, GG Vile Rat, just hundreds of these things that were floating through space, and it was a really cool screenshot, because it shows just how tight-knit these guys are. And even Hillary Clinton, I mean, because he was a U.S. official, the U.S. government obviously took an active interest in the situation and his death in particular. And as the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton is the one who speaks out. When something of this nature occurs overseas, it is her who will talk about it. And during her speech, when she got to Sean's part, she said, and I quote, He is survived by his loving wife, Heather, his 2 young children, Samantha and Nathan, and scores of grieving family, friends, and colleagues. But that's just in this world, said Clinton, because in the virtual world Sean helped create, he is also being mourned by countless competitors, collaborators, and gamers who shared his passion. And that was on national television. And that's kind of a big thing, that someone of the caliber of Hillary Clinton, while talking about him, made a point to tell the world, how much he meant to a fake world and how much that fake world meant to him, which I think is very important, especially because in recent months, of course, because shit goes down, gaming is the target. Gaming is the reason. Gaming is the spark, that ignites the flame. And it's the shooting at the movie theater in Colorado. Going further back, it was the massacre at the youth camp in Norway. It's all, it all seems to boil down to, it was video games that made these people do this. And it gives gaming as a whole, on the global stage, it gives it a very negative light. It gives it a very dangerous connotation. It gives the ignorant and the uninitiated this sense of, gaming destroys, gaming hurts, gaming harms. If you let your kid game, he's going to grow up to be a delinquent or a murderer. And I mean, those are very blunt, and those are very perhaps simplistic interpretations of what someone might think. But I mean, it's really not that far from what happens, and it's scary how on the mark what I just said might be when compared to what's actually going through someone's head. And it really does. It makes me feel good to see something like that. Like it doesn't make me feel good to see someone die, much less 4 people. Okay, that's not the issue. If I had to pick, he'd still be alive. The result wouldn't have happened. I'd be fine with that. I'd be more than fine with that. I would prefer that, but that's not. You can't. That's what happened. It happened. You can't change that. And the outpouring of support and love and unity and compassion in that community, it felt good. And it felt good to get it onto a national stage where the New York Times was writing articles about it. Like that's good. That's a big thing, and that, I hope, is a trend that will continue, because it helps to counterbalance all of the negative connotations that have been applied to gaming, and especially massive multiplayer or just online gaming in general. All the videos on YouTube of the kids calling everyone niggers and kikes and faggots, and the mom screaming at them in the background, and just all the cases of the fucking psychopaths that track each other down over World of Warcraft. It's those are all secular incidents in a much wider world. So so is Eve's mourning of Sean Smith. But I mean, admittedly, on a much grander scale than any of that, and much more positive. So, like I said, if I had the choice, he'd still be alive, but that's not a choice I get to make. But the choice that we got to make was how we handled his passing, and I'm proud to say that we handled it very well, commendably, in fact. And myself and I'm sure everyone else at TPG, um, our thoughts are with his family, and we we hope that you guys will be okay. You will. It'll take time, but you'll be okay. So moving on to something that's less depressing and awful. The shout out of the week is Black Mesa Source. It happened. It happened on when it happened. Thursday, Friday, Friday. I think it's Friday. Yeah, Friday, definitely Friday. And I spent the whole weekend playing it. It is awesome. It is awesome. It is, for those of you who don't know, it is a recreation of Half-Life 1 up until the Zen homeworld using the Half-Life 2 engine, and it looks awesome. I mean, the Half-Life 2 engine is not the newest engine, so it's not going to be like Crysis, but compared to what that game looked like back when it came out originally, it looks pretty goddamn good. And it was the best part about it was an independent team of people who spent about 8 years putting it together. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you play that mod, you do not think it is an independent mod. You will think it was made by Valve, and it was not. And that's really fucking awesome. It looks good. It sounds good. It plays great. They even kept the in-transition loading screens that everyone hated so much from the first Half-Life. They're still there. They don't have to be, but they are because that's part of the experience. You also can't get off of ladders, which they could have updated, but no, you couldn't get off of ladders in Half-Life 1. You're not going to be able to get off of ladders in Black Mesa. Fuck off. And it's great. It's really fucking great. And they did a phenomenal job. 8 years of their life devoted to this project, and it shows. It is fantastic. And it's been greenlit on Steam, so once they release the last part of the mod, which is the Zen Homeworld Anon, at that point it will be on Steam, so it will automatically update. And any kind of patches, bugs, Half-Life Deathmatch, maybe, who knows? Any of that will get automatically updated now because it's been greenlit and is officially a part of Steam. So if you have Steam, then you have Source Development Kit 2007, and you can get Black Mesa Source. It is free. It is fucking awesome. For maximum enjoyment, I do recommend picking up Black Mesa Source and then downloading the entire Half-Life 2 pack so you can play through the whole thing in a row, because I mean, honestly, it's one of the best stories ever told in video gaming. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. It's one of the best. And it's well worth a playthrough. Even if you played it before, play it again. It's that fucking good. And you can pick that up at blackmesasource.com. blackmesasource.com. Many avenues for you to download it, because on day one the site was crashing every 3 seconds because everyone was trying to download it. So you will be able to get it in torrent, direct download, mirror, whatever you want to do, it's there. So pick it up. You owe it to yourself as a PC gamer to play that. It's amazing. And that's about it. That wraps it up. So it feels good to be back after a month. Not happening again anytime soon. I can guarantee you guys that. I will be here every week on Monday giving you the rundown of the news. I'm going to have a follow-up video. I'm going to try to get it out tonight. If I can't, it'll be tomorrow after I get home from work. And it is going to be about the Wii U. Wii U. Every time I hear that name, I think of that chick from fucking Kung Pao. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a video on that because I think I deserve to do a video about that, because it's an intriguing system. And surprisingly, I don't hate it, which is, well, surprising because I hated the Wii. Even when they announced it, I hated the Wii. But the Wii U threw some curveballs at me, and I gotta say I'm 50-50 in terms of loved it and hated it. So I'm gonna do a follow through on that. Like I said, I hope to get it out tonight. If I can't, it'll be out tomorrow, and it'll be thrown up on the site as soon as I possibly can. So yeah, with that, I bid you fine folks a farewell and have a great week.